Let me tell you a story. In 95 AD, Nero, who was the emperor of Rome, used to write plays, and he would demand and order prominent Roman citizens to come and act in these plays. Now, he wrote these plays to humiliate the prominent Roman citizens, and he derived some kind of perverse pleasure from humiliating these people. Anyway, he wrote this play, and he orders a historian called Florus and a senator who's a Stoic, and I'll talk about Stoicism in a second, called Agrippinus, to come and appear in this play. And Florus comes down to Agrippinus and he says, "Agrippinus, what are we going to do? Should we appear?" And Agrippinus says this. He says, "Florus, you should go down and appear in Nero's play, and the reason you should is because you don't seek to be anything more than any other man. You are like the white thread in the toga of a senator, indistinguishable from the other white threads. I want to be a purple thread. I want to be that thread that gives the toga its beauty. I want to be the thread that stands out. I can't go down and act in that play because then I'd just be like everybody else, and I need to stand here and be different to everybody else." That's the meaning of the purple thread. I wear one on my wrist, and I wear this on my wrist because it says to me every time I see it, why me, why my company? I'm out promoting myself as a speaker to lots of businesses. I'm trying to get more business. I'm trying to build an international speaking business, and every time I speak to someone, I've got this on my wrist that reminds me, why me, why my company, why am I different? Why would you spend thousands of dollars paying me to come and speak to you? And I need to be able to articulate that. You guys did a pretty good job, but I've got to tell you, you need to be reminded. We get caught up in the stuff of this business, don't we? It takes over. And you forget the real reason you're in this business. Why you? Why your company? There's 80,000 people out there who are real estate agents, one for every 250 people. Why you? Why your company? In fact, Agrippinus didn't go down and act in the play, and Nero had a trial, and he was sentenced to banishment. Now, in ancient Roman times, being banished from Rome was one of the most painful experiences. It's worse than going to jail today. This was complete humiliation. But Agrippinus was a Stoic, and what Stoicism says is that if I have no control over the situation, I simply accept the situation for what it is, and now I become that without arguing or fighting against it, because all that does is causes frustration and anger. So this is what happened. He doesn't even go to his own trial. He's having dinner with a friend of his, and a messenger comes up and he says, "Agrippinus, Nero has banished you from Rome." And Agrippinus says, "Did he take my property?" He said, "No, he hasn't." And he turns to his friend and he says, "Then we shall finish our dinner in Arcadia." And they leave and they go to Arcadia, and then Agrippinus starts to write stories about how good it is to be banished from Rome and what he's learning from the Arcadians and what it's like to be an Arcadian. And when he comes back to Rome, he then writes about how good it is to be back in Rome and how good it is to be a Roman again. See, Stoicism says the market is what it is. There is no good market, there is no bad market, it's just what it is. The only thing that you can control is your own stuff. You can't